Y'all's faces look so pretty. I don't know what you're doing, Dustin. What is that face? Your eyes are so wide right now.
What is your skincare routine?
Those are just my eyes. What are you talking about?
Look at that. Look at the bag under his right eye, actually. Look at that thing, dude. That is a grocery bag.
It's because he found out cocaine destroys the coronavirus.
So when was the last time we did an episode? It's got to have been about 2 years now.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah, so I know when we ended, we did 101 episodes of Thanks for Nothing. The last two never aired. So we're going to call this one episode number 100 of the Thanks for Nothing podcast. It's your host, Mike. Joined alongside me, I do have the wonderful Mason and the always brilliant Dustin Hunter as well. And there's only one reason why I even, tried to do something during this break. I have been really, really lazy. And this probably would have been a good time to work on voiceovers or podcasts, stuff like that. But, I've binge watched all of Frasier, all of Mary's completed Westworld. We're into season 3 now. It's just been a lot of downtime.
Just get a life, man. Get a life,
dude. No, the problem that I have is when it's like when you and I hang out, Mason. We just bitch about a bunch of people believing all these conspiracies that this isn't real. And every morning or afternoon,
we need to put the disclaimer that watch this now before Facebook takes us down.
Oh, I actually put in the caption, not everything is a conspiracy, but I think I'm going to change it now to watch it before Facebook and the big government catches up to us. So,
and then we do what they did, and we take the video down ourselves and post about how we were censored.
And then you're going to post it. And then and after you get it taken down, then Dustin's going to post it. And then after that gets taken down, then we're going to protest Facebook. And then we're going to go onto some smaller site like Spreaker or these ones that only consider, or we'll go on Pornhub and do the live streams from there, because that's just where the gun nuts go now, because they think that's a cool thing. Because the normal everyday uses of YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, like, oh, well, they don't like our opinions. They don't like freedom. Blah, blah, blah. We hear about it all the time. And usually when I wake up, it's like 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's how lazy I've been. And I'm reading something else that's irritating me. And the one thing that I read, and I know I called you yesterday, Mason, or we were playing phone tag, and Plandemic, I think really set me over the edge to where now my equipment's all hooked up. Everything's cleaned up. And we are now doing
it did it itself, like it just formed.
It did with my mind. Like my eyes got so wide for 1 second, and I was like, oh my God. And then everything just kind of like put itself together. And I was like, Mason, we have to do this now. Why the fuck do people believe in Plandemic?
Look, man, it's understandable, because I read this post, a well-written one about the nature of conspiracy theories. These aren't stupid people, and we're not smarter for not believing in them. The thing is, like, the human brain's wired that we have to have meaning. If there's no meaning, we have to create one. And people capitalize on that. So if someone comes out, like we can do a little thought experiment and make this video about anything that's not verifiable. But if I say it convincingly enough, you can't prove me wrong. I'm not really saying anything that's actually provable. You can't prove me wrong, but it's more concrete than what we think we're hearing initially. And this is what that I forget her name, but what the doctor was doing.
Oh, you're talking about Sabatz or Savitz or Savage? Mikovits.
Yes.
Mikovits. Yes.
So if she's coming out and saying like, no, guys, this is big. I'm right in the crossfire here, and I got fired, and they're after me. They're gonna get me.
She's a martyr for the cause.
Mm-hmm. They told me I couldn't talk about it for 5 years. So 9 years later, I still haven't said shit, except for when this became really big.
Well, I think it also has a little bit to do with people that they want to be in on something. Like, take any of the we didn't ever actually go to the moon, that kind of thing, because I'm superior to you because Look at all these facts.
I
Look
know
at all
something you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're just like, yeah, come on, man. Of course we went to the moon. No. You didn't hear about this or that or, oh, come
You
on. The
believe in
moon
the
isn't
moon?
real. It's just a cardboard cutout that they put up in the skysphere. Come
Yeah,
on,
it was
man.
everybody considers it to be, it was just a space race. And so, you know,
Well, that's the
when
narrative that we've been fed and that
Hollywood
I personally choose to believe, because why wouldn't I? Like, why would there have to be some big conspiracy over whether or not we actually made it to the moon? Like,
because everything has a deeper meaning, and you're all sheeple for not thinking.
Exactly. Oh yeah, sheeple. I forgot about sheeple. Yeah,
and woke.
And what's sad is the people who believe that they're woke. You know, when they try to explain stuff, it's the most elementary, surface level kind of thing. It's almost like when like a school shooting happens, right? If you give it 48 hours, your woke people now have like a reason for this. But they take 48 hours to go, there's got to be some deeper meaning to this school shooting, because I know they're going to take away my guns. They're going to try to take away my liberties. They're going to try to take away my freedoms. I don't know what it is. Oh, X, Y, and Z. Look, remember when this happened? They're trying to deter you from this over here. It's all a big fucking conspiracy.
It's the Albert Camus quote. You're converted first, and then you read the scripture.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, dude, it drives me nuts. I mean,
you already have the belief
people that are truthers about Sandy Hook. I mean,
oh yeah, they're what, crisis actors?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah.
Like, come on, man.
This girl has brunette hair, and then there's a girl there that had brunette hair. If you can please explain to me how they're not the same person.
If we superimpose,
unless you're entirely blind.
If we superimpose her hair on top of her head, we can clearly see that it's the same person.
So, whenever you explain this to people, there's always an excuse for, you know, it's almost like the biggest thing about this pandemic and this lockdown was you're taking away my rights, you're taking away my freedoms.
Oh my God.
Well, we've been listening to it for how long now? Like a month, at least a month.
Oh, I know. Trust me.
People saying that we should be able to go back to work. It's our right to do this. Well, I think what everybody forgot about why the lockdown happened, it wasn't just so that nobody dies. I honestly think they don't really give a shit about that. It was to flatten the curve. That was the main.
So we don't overwhelm the healthcare system. Yeah.
That's it. And somehow we forgot about that and went, well, it's my right to go out there. Well, no, it's not about us hurting you. It's not you. It's you affecting other people. And so what we're trying to do is tell you, no, you can't go out for this minute amount of time in your life. Just this small little thing right here, because somehow we're the only country in the world that believes that, well, this shouldn't affect my day-to-day life, when it's impacted the entire world itself. Like country after country, like, you know, starting with Wuhan. Who else got heavily, Italy. Got heavily devastated with this.
South Korea, the same day as us.
I believe.
Wait, no, they didn't get hit hard. How about that?
Oh yeah, sorry, I missed. Yeah, no, they
didn't get hit hard. They didn't get hit hard because they tested the hell out of their people and made sure that they were keeping track of it and taking care of things. They stayed ahead of it, which we could have done, and then we wouldn't even have to have a lockdown.
And without pointing any fingers, because we don't have to point any fingers.
No, I'm not trying to point any fingers. I'm just saying that if we would have actually had these advanced
points. I can't see your hand, but I see the pointing.
I see the middle finger. Like,
no, if we had actually been prepared for it and actually done the proper testing that we should have been doing, we wouldn't have even had to go into a lockdown/quarantine situation. That was a reaction to it getting out of hand. If we wouldn't have let it get out of hand in the first place, we wouldn't have had to do this, and we wouldn't even be protesting about it.
Well, because Fauci was the head of the coronavirus task force, correct?
I believe so. I know he's the head of the National
No, I think Kushner is
infectious diseases. So
okay, and so he was the one that was really big on the lockdown needing to commence. I know
yes.
he was the leading voice.
He said it right then, is that we can't contain this. We need to start taking these measures so that we're not just killing everybody.
Well, there's one thing I read about. I think if it wasn't South Korea that handled it, the better of all the countries that got really hit. Germany was one of those, and Germany, they're Angela Merkel, is it prime minister?
Yeah.
Or yeah, okay. She's a chemist, I believe,
Mhm.
and they, unlike the United States, they trusted their government. And I'm not saying there's everything to you shouldn't just blindly trust the government. That's something that I want to flat out say whenever we're talking about conspiracy theorists and whatnot. Just not agreeing with the conspiracy theories isn't blindly trusting the government, but just trust the experts. And America has in our foundation a very ingrained distrust of anyone that tells us what to do.
Yes, I agree with that.
Almost like when a parent tells you, no, I don't want you having ice cream for dinner, and you get mad and eat a fucking tub of ice cream,
Yeah.
you vomit.
And
It's not
shit
your parent
yourself.
just saying, I don't want you to do this
Lactose
because I'm
intolerant.
telling you. You all right there?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, okay. I didn't know who that was.
That was
It was an awkward stare. I actually
Someone had to.
I looked at my phone like 6 times because I was like,
Someone had to have friends.
Computer, so. Anyway,
But yeah, there's just a fundamental mistrust with the government, not necessarily unfounded, but we just take it to the max, to where if the government tells you one thing, it must be true the opposite, and that's not always so. And I think this is one of those cases. If we just shut up for a month and maybe don't bail out companies that have 500 fucking employees, yeah, just we would have avoided so many deaths and infections.
well, and so you were talking about Germany, and my favorite story that I've heard about them lately was they ended up doing the lockdown because it kind of started getting out of control, and they made the decision to shut down like we did. But then they actually bulked up their testing like they should have, and like we should have.
exactly.
And they got it all under control. And now, I think earlier this week or late last week, I read a story about how there's a lot of citizens who are angry that they went into quarantine and nothing has happened. But that's what happens when it works.
Thank you. They want to see 1 million people dead to prove that
To prove it was worth it.
That it was.
I'd rather just all of us be locked up for another 3 months and knock that death toll down, and the infection rate and all of this, and just actually take care of our people.
Well,
That's what the government is supposed to do.
In my selfish mind, it sounds like you just don't want to work. That's what this all is.
Okay. To be fair, I actually do make more money off of unemployment. In all honesty, I do, than I did working. And that's not.
Is that maybe an issue that should be dealt with?
Yeah, that's
on a higher level.
That's a separate issue. I theoretically I should apparently be making more money than I am, but
I was in the car driving to my mother's house, and there was a commercial for Kroger, and it was talking about their employees, working extra long nights, constantly restocking the shelves. They had 2 separate midnight crews, blah 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 blah. And from all of us in the family of Kroger, we have one thing to say to those employees: thank you.
Of course.
When I heard that, I was like, I forgot that thank yous pay my rent.
Yeah.
And that really.
No. It's the same as if you're waiting at a table and, oh my goodness, you're the best waiter I've ever had. Thank you so much.
$3.
5% tip. God, your compliments really keep me warm when my heat goes off. Oof.
I believe that the essential workers really did need like a huge boost, because they did a lot during it, and they're going to go.
Who is the burden on? Is it a burden on the government to provide that, or on the company to provide that?
It's on the provider. And
are you sure? Because there's a lot of people out there that think the government should be on the hook for it.
But that this needs to be a brand new conversation brought up that we found right from the get-go, like day one, where they're like, shit, we cannot operate like normal, is that what it was before. And I'm not trying to get too off of the topic of the coronavirus, but what it was before is, why should you get $15 for flipping a burger? And now we're seeing that it doesn't matter what you decide the worth of X person's job is, whatever it is they do. The economy doesn't fucking care about whether you flip burgers or if you dig ditches or if you're an electrician. It doesn't matter. Money matters,
if I might
and the
add,
economy and inflation matters. And if it doesn't add up, it doesn't add up. And so now you're in a situation where whether or not you think someone deserves this money, they don't have it, and the government has to bail them out or have them starve in a situation like this. And then starving, that's where you get the violence and the chaos. So arguably, you might just want to maybe increase the minimum wage.
maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
we said that Bernie's hanging from a ceiling somewhere right now.
Has anybody checked on him lately?
I haven't heard a word, but whenever they did that stimulus package, I think Bernie was like, "I got to go use the bathroom real quick," and he never came back out of that bathroom. Like he just
he's in the clock tower at UT.
God.
Oh no! Oh no!
As a point of clarification, whenever you say, I'm doing air quotes, the economy, do you mean the actual, spending of money and moving the money around because I get paid for working and then I put my money back into the economy? Or do you mean like the stock market and how that is apparently the economy now, and that's
all the economy is?
Yeah.
Just that number with a red arrow or green arrow or whatever.
Okay, cool.
No, I mean just the art of wanting something and paying for it. Just numbers, I guess.
Credit.
Actual numbers.
Your burger flippers at Jack in the Box, at Burger King, McDonald's, Whataburger. They Popeyes, I think, probably actually had the worst customer service of all of them. But as an Uber Eats driver, when they shut down the inside of the restaurant, I think it was around April 10th or so, you just couldn't go in the restaurant at all anymore. And so it was all drive-through, and those lines were wrapped around the building. Like you just said, it was constant. And for somebody, and when they cut the staff like that, especially in the food service industry, which for people who say that they couldn't find any additional, like small businesses that can't find any additional loans, there was a lot of grants that went around with the stimulus package as well, especially for restaurant workers. And I know it wasn't available to everybody. I remember looking at some of those, and it says, due to an overwhelming amount of requests, we are no longer accepting requests for these certain grants or whatever. But
for sure. Yeah. I mean, I myself applied to 4 of them.
Did you get any?
I heard back from 2 of them, and I didn't get anything from any of them. So
okay, well, I'll just go.
That's that's.
I get it.
If I remember correctly, those are mostly relying on donations, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
But they're government donations, aren't they?
Not specifically. Miller Coors provided about $1 million to the U.S. Bartenders Guild. Guy Fieri even raised a few $1 million and made up his own service workers.
Can I, for the 1,000th time, apologize for everything I've said against him?
Right. That dude is the best. What
did he ever do to anybody?
Flavortown had 0 cases of coronavirus because that man got shit done.
If that's the case, I'm going to Flavortown.
But no, when you have people, what they kept saying, of course, the economy. We can't keep the economy shut down. We can't keep the economy shut down. We can't stay indoors forever. We have to work. We have to work. We have to work. And it's like, dude,
they're absolutely right. But
forever, no. But if you maybe didn't have it to where a company with 500 fucking human beings employed be considered a small company, would maybe others
compared to Amazon and Anheuser-Busch, that is a small company.
Would maybe others benefit from that money that should have or could have gone to them? And the same with the stimulus, where you're seeing the wrong people get the stimulus first, or a stimulus, not just the one we got, but like the airlines, for example. Look at the bailouts they got, probably undeserved.
They're tanked. They are tanked right now. That's why. I mean,
but why are they tanked? And
Well,
and
international
how
travel shut down. It's expensive. The one thing I will say about
it
the
is.
airlines, the one and like, look, I know all about like the buyouts or the buyback of stocks with the last bailout that the airlines had, and so that was the airline industry was the biggest reason why there was a
You
fight.
know more so than us because your dad's front row and center.
Yeah, and I know that was the reason why there was a big fight in Congress about this stimulus package, and instead of actually coming to an agreement, and actually making both sides unite, they just created out of a hat 100 trillion or another $1 trillion and threw that in the mix. And I was like, well, if we're just printing money, why don't you just print $5 more trillion? We all start over, we all get 10 million, we just see where we go with this, and
The U.S. check
have at it. That's going to be free market capitalism right there. You just get your monopoly money in the beginning and it's just go, let's see what happens.
What if we just pull a full-on Fight Club and then just erase all debt and money doesn't mean anything anymore? I mean,
and I feel like that and here's a conspiracy for you. I really feel like whenever they pulled that other $1 trillion out, I think that made me realize that I don't think the money matters anymore. I think they just keep printing it, and I think they know that we know that now, and they're like, shit, we don't actually have power anymore because they know we could just print another 10 trillion and just throw that into the mix because we have the ability to do so. We control it all. But go ahead.
No, sorry. I want to piggyback off of that idea, but I want to finish your thought, of course.
The only thing I'm going to say about it is the airlines was the biggest reason why they had such a fight, I believe, because the last time the airlines got the bailout, they bought back their own stocks, raised their stock price back up. CEOs took major bonuses, did a couple mergers, and then a massive layoff happened afterwards. Basically, the employee was screwed. And so that was the fight on the left-hand side was, hey, we need to make sure that they're using this money responsibly. Oh, instead of looking at that, let's throw, another $1 trillion in there, and then we just don't have to worry about it anymore. And it's like, okay, whatever. So now what I realized, though, just like the first time that the airlines got bailed out, to keep their employees paid, to keep the planes in the air, it's a lot of fucking money. It is a lot of money. It is a very, very high dollar, a high cost industry. And they are something that is such a necessity to the world that they do need to be dependent on the government. And they always will be. So when people are like, oh, the airlines are suffering, oh, boo-hoo, it's like, well, you kind of need them because that's how you get from point A to point B. And they know that. And so
Would that not mean that they could bounce back much quicker given that?
Oh, they can.
Theoretically.
Like oil, we cannot go without oil as much as I am green and whatnot.
Yeah,
and
that would need to be a gradual getting rid of it eventually thing.
Right.
It can bounce back much quicker than other companies or
and not only that, but they could take a super low interest loan out and then pay that back whenever they start making money, like they should be doing. I'm not against bailouts for them, but can't they just figure out their own resources like the rest of us? I mean,
what's being shown, I think, more clearly is that, okay, call this a liberal bias that I have naturally, but
naturally
for each naturally.
I'm just glad we're having a smarter conversation and not reading the shit that we have to read every single day when we wake up in the morning on social media. This is making me happy. Continue. We're sheeple compared, like we're the sheeple. But yeah, go ahead.
I'm a massive sheeple.
You really are.
I just follow the flock, and hey, actually, that frees my mind because I don't have to think for myself.
Drinking the corporate media tea. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Exactly. But go on, please.
And I feel like take whatever criticism the one side has, for the other. It definitely seems more so that, the you could say the more liberal side wants what should they call it from the right? You want the government to be your daddy and to hold your hand through life, whereas
they're calling it socialism.
Socialism
because
we build ourselves up and we create our own path and we blaze that trail. But it becomes more evident that with the Senate and House, Democrats versus Republicans, which I like to refrain from using mostly because a Democrat is not always liberal and a Republican is not always, that far right conservative.
And
That
also the ideologies are becoming more polarized anyway. So yeah.
exactly, but it seems more so that the Republicans are holding the employees hostage, because they're primarily seen as the more so business owners. So they play those games, they gamble with those bailouts and whatever monies they get, and they give themselves the bonuses and they give themselves raises and whatever to increase the profits for their company. But then something like this happens, and then they go, okay, well, we need another bailout. You don't want the workers to suffer. You're going to let the workers suffer.
Are you talking about how they give it to the job creators themselves and they bail themselves out?
Well, I mean, in the instance of like all the say bankrupt companies in the past, like in the 07, 08 recession, that got these golden parachutes, and they're laying off all these people, laying them off, and then they're getting these.
Yeah, you feel like 10 years later we're watching it again. Like,
sure.
yeah.
But now it's not now and then. It's like take. We got ours, and then when something like this happens, they're like, okay, you got bailout money last time and you squandered it, and like, right, but you are going to make all these employees suffer because we're going to have to fire them. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I see what you're saying.
It's a sickening hostage situation. You could look at Bezos from Amazon. That
you know what? I actually hate to say it. Look at Elon Musk.
And his son AEX
disappointed me so much.
He's been a massive disappointment for the last couple of years.
I know. Where did that come from?
But look at Bezos.
Sorry. Right, money. That's right.
Bezos is getting a divorce, all right? And he's worth more money than every human being you've ever known, every human being they've known, every human being they've known combined. He has more money than them, and he starts divorce proceedings, and then all of a sudden Whole Foods has to cut every benefit for their employees. Like, that's the issue that is the underlying of the coronavirus that should be. I mean, it's not anything to do with the coronavirus, firsthand, but all these things are coming to light. That what if all that has happened, we maybe fought against, and maybe 5 or 6 years ago we didn't say, hey, burger flipper, you're not fucking worth the dime, sorry. Maybe we said, based on the pure fucking simple math of these economics, and that we have charted and we can calculate perfectly, you should make at least 15 an hour, probably more. Maybe then you won't have to be bitching about government bailouts and how bad the economy, the greatest economy in history that lasted a week and a half before everything started going to shit. Well, maybe then things could have been slightly better.
I want to take it. So we've talked a lot about, the fundamentals of, why the shutdown happened, how the stimulus package was issued, the right and left, ideologies of how it should have been distributed, comparisons, so on and so forth. I want to talk about the hypocrisy of people now. That really is the meat of what I wanted this episode to be about.
Can I get something off my mind real fast?
Yes, of course.
And I'm going to shut up. Like, I'm not trying to fucking talk more than all of you, and
please fire away.
But I just have one thing I want to say. Have you noticed with conspiracy theories and the people that spread them, and the people that
the troll farms?
The what?
The troll farms, the Russian troll farms?
Oh yeah. The ones that discover things that we have never ever ever known because that's us. We see nothing. The only people that are discovered or are big players in these conspiracy theories are the ones that are put up at the time. For example, Dr. Fauci. How long has Dr. Fauci been a doctor? Dustin, do you know?
I know he's been the director for the National Institute of Allergies and Infectious Diseases since 1984.
1984.
So
Not
he's
a
been a
word
doctor
against
for a
him.
while. He's been a director for a while. He's been a doctor long before that. So
Not a word against him. With all his established career, his esteemed career, nothing. But then his face is shown on TV more than other doctors, and all of a sudden he's a villain. Bill Gates, who's been a billionaire for how many years?
80s, 90s. Yeah.
Okay, but everyone just said he's probably just a billionaire asshole. Who knows? But now he's the fucking antichrist that's going to make your life, your family lives.
George Soros, man.
George Soros. And was this Bill Gates in the 90s, even though he was a billionaire and a massive celebrity then? Was he in the center of all these conspiracies? No. What about Steve Ballmer? Is he never mentioned?
I'm afraid I don't know the name. So
Yeah,
Steve
maybe
Ballmer
not.
is and hang on, I'm doing this off the cuff here. The point I'm trying to make is that though they are woke, you could say they know things that we don't know. Um, they don't go with anything until it's right in their face, handed to them. So, you know, Lady Gaga is and Beyonce are center in the Illuminati conspiracy. Were they whenever they're, mildly famous, just breaking out? No. It's only when they reached pure pinnacle status of absolute celebrity that's the person I'm targeting. And Steve Ballmer is an American businessman and investor who's a chief executive officer of Microsoft from January 2000 to February 2014. Is he in any of these conspiracies? No. Is
No.
he any less important than Bill Gates?
No.
Nope. He's right up there
He's
with Bill
running the
Gates.
company. Yeah.
He's the owner of the Clippers.
I don't know.
All right.
Who? Wait, what?
Palmer.
He's the owner of the Clippers?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no shit. I actually didn't know that at all.
And so that's why Mr. Basketball Man wouldn't do anything. But Bill Gates is involved in vaccines, even though they hold equal power. They have more money than you and I could ever count to.
What was
But
that?
people don't know who Steve Ballmer is because they don't follow basketball.
What was that patent that I saw floating around for a little while there about that Bill Gates had? It was like Corona, influenza, or something stupid like that. And then it has nothing to do with coronavirus, but it was it was a vaccine that he was, trying to get a patent on, because I know that he was involved in healthcare back in the 90s. I know that.
He still is today.
Is he still? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. And so there was like something that they were like, I shit you not. He was wanting a patent for this vaccine. It's like, yeah. And then 25 years later, he was going to strike, and now he's striking.
It's because take a fucking refrigerator or take a car, take anything, and you say, all right, funny how this company that makes refrigerators owns a patent on a small type of engine. Tell me that Henry Ford is not trying to make our refrigerators actual cars that will run us over in our sleep.
Wake up, sheeple.
How else do you want to have a cold car? It's in the hot summer. You want to get into an ice box. So we just put an engine in it with 4 wheels, and there you go.
I don't believe
it's got its own refrigerants. It just, it just go down the road. I mean, it doesn't have any windows, so
no.
What this showed, and another thing, because I want to get back on topic about this as well. When it came to the hypocrisy of things, what I saw a lot more of, especially here in the last couple of weeks, is privilege. And who I'm talking about, somebody who we all know very well here in Texas, which, mind you, we did talk a little bit about the numbers, 1.32 million confirmed in the U.S., 78,000 deaths. Now, they wanted 1 million deaths in order for the other side to believe that this was an actual pandemic, of course. Maybe 1 million worldwide. I would hope that they would want 1 million worldwide, not just 1 million in the United States. That's one out of every, 300.
You're dealing with a death cult. So
of course, yeah. But, what I loved about this was privilege. And the Shelley Luther, the Dallas salon owner, You know, we this is where privilege, it meets politics, and I don't know how the fuck did we make this woman a martyr, for the cause. She couldn't follow. Well, please tell me. Please tell me why.
Please.
No, the reason she is a martyr is because, one, she white.
Yes.
Two,
she's blonde.
Her name's Karen.
She blonde. Three, she's standing up for her rights.
Oh God, dude, I can't do it. I want you to imagine here. So yeah, it's just it's because she's white. It is. I'm sorry. There is nothing. There is not a voice that is louder than a white person's. And I know all three of us are white, and so we just sound like we're just hating our own race. But the thing is, honestly, you have to take a step back and look at this. And this is going to tie in to so many things that has happened in the last few weeks that really makes me hate people.
When you say that, Mike, I want you to know everyone agrees with you, but the way we are, like you say, it's because you're white, and everyone's just kind of like, well, but.
No, I don't want to bud. I don't want to bud. These are facts here, man. Like, okay, so, I know you know who Dale Hansen is. He's the sports guy.
Oh, yeah. No, he had a great bit about this.
Last night.
My God.
And he didn't talk about that much about Shelley Luther. He talked about the federal judge. And now the federal judge gave her a fair shot. The only thing he wanted for her to do was apologize for tearing up the thing and making a huge statement about it. And she wouldn't do it.
I got my rights. I can do whatever I want.
God. And they still let her go. Do you think if this person, this is a racing, I don't give a shit what you think. I know anybody who's actually watching this right now is going to turn it off right now because they're going to want to shut their ears and go, it's not a racing. Everybody always makes it all about race. If this was a black person.
Dude, Bree and I had this exact conversation this morning.
At least one more day.
Dude.
At least one more fucking day.
I'm not kidding. Bree and I actually talked about this morning on an unrelated, complete note. My thought was, can you imagine how many late night hosts, maybe not today specifically, but how many late night hosts and whatnot and news or quote unquote news people like your Limbaughs and your Joneses would have made endless jokes about how they had to get their nails did or get their hairs did, or I can't live without my weed. How many jokes would that have brought on if it had been a black woman?
Oh, shit tons.
So many. And then they'd be okay with it. They would be totally fine with it. But no, now see, she's white. And all she's trying to do is dye people's hairs and get their manicures and whatnot. So that's totally fine.
She was one of the only businesses, because I know she wasn't the only one that stayed open in Dallas-Fort Worth. There were a few others and they got in trouble. But they also followed the cease and desist and they had to shut down. She chose not to. She wanted to go all the way through to the end because I don't know if this was like some sort of big political statement, but GoFundMe has now given her over $250,000.
No, last I saw it was over 500,000.
Oh, Jesus. I didn't even want to hear that. So, okay. So, yeah. The point that I'm trying to make, though, it does boil down to race. Okay, I want you to tell me about in Lansing, Michigan, at the state capitol. Whenever they were trying to,
I think there were a couple of Hispanic ladies that were jailed for the same thing.
There were
there
in this state. Yes,
they were in jail.
The outcry for them.
And the one thing I want to say too, I'm not trying to be apologetic. I'm not trying to be apologetic about anything here. What. I think a better way to put this is what if that salon owner was black? What if that salon owner was any other race? Mm-hmm. That's the best way to put it. It's a privilege in this country to be white. I am happy I'm white because I have so much fucking privilege. I really do. I don't have to get in trouble about certain things. And I'm okay to say that because I know who I am as a person. But you were saying, though, Mason, there was a couple of Hispanic women, like what? They had their own salons or like boutiques or what?
If I read it correctly, and I Dustin, maybe you can help me out because I don't have it pulled up right now, but I think they're doing roughly the same thing as she was, and they got jailed for the same reason. Could be more to it, but that I read, I don't think there was. And Paxton hasn't said anything about it. There's no GoFundMe about it. There's not 100 news stories.
And And Ted Cruz is not visiting that salon right now to get his fucking haircut. He went over to what's her face? What's her name again? The
Karen.
Shelley Luther. Right? He went to Shelley Luther's salon to get his first haircut.
We're calling her Shelley Luther King from now on.
Okay, so
no, please don't do that.
She is a patriot. She has saved America from the throes of Nazi America.
So this ties into something else, and we'll get back on that. I know I can see that Dustin's kind of trying to research.
You're good. I was looking something up that Mason was talking about.
Yeah, well, I thought about the Hispanic women, right?
Yeah.
So I want to get back on that, but another thing that this ties into is, once again, it's my right to go out and work. We should all be out and working. I need my haircut. Obviously, I personally need my haircut, but I mean, I'm willing not to. I know your hair is ridiculously fucking long.
Luscious.
I want to talk about the protest. What was it? I forgot what they call themselves. The something Patriots in Michigan. They're a right-wing extremist faction, basically, and they went into the state capitol armed, head to toe with bulletproof vests, rifles, and were right outside the governor's door, where state police lined up in front of the door because, well, I mean, you have to do that.
Yeah.
And there's pictures. Now, there's two things about this. This is the hypocrisy part. Back to blue, right? Let me go ahead and start screaming in these police officers' face. That's one thing. And two, if they were any other race, would they have even made it in that fucking building?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And not to mention the other one, All Lives Matter.
That went away.
All Lives Matter.
That went away real quick.
Beautiful. And then number 3, if we're still not sure that racism isn't a fucking problem in this country, and this is the one I don't think you're going to hear any right-wing faction really talk about. I know that there's a couple like ridiculously crazy, just off the wall, really narrow-minded, don't have an actual intelligent thought in their mind, people who have tried to do GoFundMes for the father and the son, the ones that shot Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia. Do you remember that? Do you know about that, Mason?
Of course, yeah.
Of course, the jogger, right? Father and son in February shooting a jogger. Now, my only curiosity when it comes to this is the only thing. Who was the guy shooting the video? I'm curious about that because I want to know if he was involved with the father and son and got too guilty.
From what I read, he was with them, just not to the extent that that they carried it out. But if you know where, I don't know the legalities of it. I'm obviously not a lawyer, so if you have that footage, and maybe I don't.
You're an accomplice.
I will do what many people during this entire pandemic have not been doing. I'll admit I don't know. I'm not sure what happened with that guy. I don't know if he was with them. I don't know if he was a participant.
But that is my biggest question: is because what I believe is the guilt caught up with him, and he anonymously posted that video just to get it out there.
Could be.
And that's my biggest theory, because I'm like, if you witness a man, an innocent man, unarmed, get shot and murdered, it looks like a lynching. It walks like a lynching, talks like a lynching, quacks like a lynching, and lynches like a duck. So if it does all that stuff, it looks like it's pretty obscene. And with that being said, how can you deny that there is a problem in this country, especially when, in the final part of all of this, with all the hypocrisy, you had a problem with how Colin Kaepernick was kneeling in the NFL.
Breaking news! I've just been handed this by my newsroom.
I Bree.
I would like to talk to you about a private Facebook group.
Please.
Justice for Gregory and Travis McMichael.
Go to hell.
Yes, the shooters.
These two God-fearing men were only trying to protect their neighborhood.
Just keep going, please.
Go clean your gun.
This area has had a string of break-ins, and this man fit the description.
Was he wearing the same shirt?
No.
Oh my God.
No, it wasn't the shirt.
This is just
It wasn't the shirt. It wasn't the pants. It wasn't even.
Maybe it was something around this area.
Did he have the same necklace?
No, I don't even think he was wearing a necklace that day. No, he wasn't.
Oh, no. It's the George Zimmerman defense.
Ah, yes.
He was wearing a hoodie. And why would he do that? Unless he was suspicious.
He's trying to cut weight, bro. He's trying to cut 5 pounds.
Then he'd wear a trash bag like a normal person.
And not garner any attention.
It has to be a white trash bag. It can't be a black trash bag.
Whoa.
You only wear it over.
Whoa.
So that is, it's all of that combined. And then right on top of it, the candle was plandemic. How we're believing a doctor who is so closely tied with the anti-vax movement, which has already been debunked. And then all of the theories that is in plandemic and all of the points has been debunked as well. So that, with the hypocrisy, what the fuck are we arguing about right now? That is the point of basically this entire episode as we are, getting close here towards the end. Opinions, thoughts. This is where the hatred really starts to rise. I don't know if it's the rest of this whiskey that I just drank right now that the anger is really starting to rise, or it's something like me just trying to release the stress. So thoughts, opinions, hypocrisy.
I've been trying to come at this from every angle possible because, I'll be the first to say, like, I don't have the answers. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a brainiac. I just have my own intuition with things. And with this, like with, what's going on with COVID, I do what the conspiracy theories don't do. I start from what is stated and work my way backwards to prove or disprove whatever it was that was said. And so if you do that with pandemic, if you go in and you say, this is going to confirm everything I believe, big fucking surprise. Everything that you want to believe confirmed in bright, shiny colors.
In there. And you know what he probably used? He probably used Adobe Premiere, was able to cut videos together with an audio strip, and then it looks professionally done, and they're like, this guy knows his shit.
But if you notice, one of the biggest fallacies when it comes to debate or any sort of logical argument is that whenever something is either spoken out against what you believe, and you can't actually disprove that, you can't argue that, they always attack the source. They always attack, you can't trust Google.
Fake news.
And it goes all the way down to Google. Because you can search multiple things, and I've used articles from ABC News, I've used things from Reddit that are all cited, and I'm not saying that Reddit is a gospel truth, but it doesn't. The point is, it doesn't matter who it is that's reporting it. If CNN reports that a plane crashes, and there's a record of a plane crashing, it's not wrong because CNN reported it.
Yeah.
And people don't
check your sources. I mean, even if you go through Reddit, check your sources. It may be bull, but if you go actually and look at where the sources are coming from, and that seems pretty reputable. I mean, you can make your own decision. That's the whole point of the news. Make your own informed decision.
No, Dustin, the problem, with checking the sources is, what if the sources say something I don't like?
Oh, well, then I just rather live in my own little bubble and not ever have anybody disagree with me, and then put powder on my bottom and just pat me on my head before I go to bed, and little sweet little kiss on the cheek, and there you go. You're in your soft little world, buddy.
and then there's the three most beautiful words after you've gone deep enough. You've actually you've done enough cocaine to power a horse. You've done whatever to get yourself live for a debate. You're not letting down. You've disproven everything. And then the three most beautiful words come out: agree to disagree. And it's like, no, you're fucking wrong. You're fucking wrong. This isn't an opinion thing.
What agree to disagree means is that I can't back up my opinions right now, and I'm not in any kind of ability right now to check my sources or give you any facts. So let's just agree to disagree, because I don't want to argue about this anymore. I'm not saying you're right. No. But I'm not wrong either.
Are you about to throw your laptop like across the room?
Dude, I was very much close to it.
And you know what? One more thing I want to say about that shooting. Do you remember when This Is America came out?
Yeah.
Do you remember how? Look, I'm gonna give
like
credit to
Schindler's List. Oh, okay. Maybe that was too far. Go ahead. Continue.
Everyone I know, thankfully, everyone I know, we all agree that is a fucked up shooting. That person did not deserve to die. This is a racist act. The most conservative people I know will tell you the same thing. That is fucked up.
Yeah, that was fucked up. I don't agree with that.
But man, This Is America came out. This Is America came out. How many people were like, I just think that's a bit too violent. I just think it's just disrespectful. I think it's disrespectful, and that's the word that's just a blanket term for that. Confuses me, and it makes me question a lot of things. So that's disrespectful.
Colin Kaepernick can protest all he wants. He just needs to protest the right way.
Oh yeah.
Right. He should take fucking automatic weapons to Lansing, Michigan.
No, he should take automatic weapons in the stadium, and then take a knee while he's got the rifle up in front of him.
Uniform.
Tell me I can't protest.
Like on the field with an AR-15 strapped to.
The national anthem actually starts playing. He brings a state police officer. He brings a state police officer on the sidelines, and the national anthem starts. He just starts screaming at it with a rifle, screaming at the guy with the rifle in his hands. People are like, "Boo! Back the blue!" And he's like, "What? I'm right. Like this is what you guys do."
I'm trying my hardest.
Just trying to fit in.
I don't know how to protest.
I want to do it the right way.
One
thing I wanted to bring up specifically about the Lansing protests. Aside from the fact that I think there have been protests in 18 different states now, they're saying that this has drawn a lot of other groups, such as gun rights groups, white supremacist groups, just other right-wing causes. I was curious about the thoughts of either of you. There we go. That sounds better. About the comparison to the 99% protests, the Occupy Wall Street protests. Because if you remember, when we went out there were so many other little fringe groups that showed up because people were gathering. And there were so many Legalize It people and so many other minimum wage people. I saw a couple of those dudes.
Leftist groups.
Yeah, just other groups that, because now you have a cause to protest, there's people gathering, maybe I can get my message heard too. I was curious about your thoughts about the way that kind of plays out, the parallels that draw up in there.
The Occupy movement, I felt like, outside of the ones in, Washington, D.C., New York, like, I felt like it was kind of, it was too weak. It wasn't as structured and wasn't as organized. That was my thing. It fell apart too quickly. I felt like they didn't give it enough of an attempt. I mean, they did in the beginning. Some of the groups were good, but I mean, like, I don't know if that's just because liberals are lazy. Is that it? And we don't know how to organize things?
Partly. No, I don't know about that, but again, like I said, dude, there's been a ton of people. These seem really loosely organized, and there's a bunch of other fringe groups that are coming in trying to get some recognition too. And that's what I'm saying. I see a lot of similarities there.
I can speak to the Dallas Occupy movement, and I went there for only a day. I didn't like camp out or anything, but that definitely became more of a Legalize It.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like there was a lot of those other fringe groups.
I remember thinking like you don't belong
because
that I believe that, but that's not the place. That's not what what we're trying to state here.
Right.
We're starting here. You're starting from over there. You need to wait just a little bit before we kind of meet along the grounds there because
People won't do that because me.
right. And
with the hair salon.
It lines up, right? It lines up a little bit. It does.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, it does. You're right.
Really.
Yeah. What was that? What was that? What was that? That group called that was trying to elect different officials in Congress, and we went to the
brand new Congress, and they
Brand
actually
new
got
Congress.
AOC. Like AOC is one of theirs.
The liberal Tea Party.
Yeah, well, that's what they wanted.
I remember driving there, and I said, the moment that somebody starts off with, well, I really think that we need to legalize marijuana, I was gonna run your car into the restaurant and be like, there are so many other fucking issues outside of legalizing marijuana. I get it, I do, but like it just sounds like you just don't want to get in trouble for smoking pot, and there's so many.
I don't want to get in trouble for smoking pot.
I get it. Okay, that's fine. There's so many other things we can talk about. It was that I'll never forget that guy. There was a guy, he wouldn't let go. He wouldn't give up. He was just like, and I've been a big proponent for legalizing marijuana. I'm like, I know you fucking have. Okay, I know you have. Just sit down.
You can smell that. Thank you.
Driving in, listen to the Grateful Dead. No one likes it.
Man, I can definitely tell you're a Fish fan. Like,
he brought Trey Nostalgio here, and he's so confused. He has no idea where he is. But no, like like with the current protest, they will take any instance and any protest to make it all about the Second Amendment. And
I don't think that's everybody involved. I think that's just a select group of people that are specifically
I'm talking about
trying to
this.
shoehorn their way in.
That they'll take whatever like slightly conservative protest or gathering, and then they'll make that into you can't take my guns. And I'm sure most of the intelligent people there are like, I don't know who's whispering in your ear or who you think's going to take your guns. But that's not what's going on here.
Government, man. It's Obama. Obama's going to come and take him.
Bro.
He's like watching Oxygen specials, and he's like checking his phone going like, what the fuck are they talking about? I'm tired, man. I can't hold any office ever again.
Go ahead.
With like what happens in Lansing, these people, it's the need to escalate it. Like they need that, not even necessarily violence, but they want to take. They're the ones that are saying that if the government's telling you that you have to quarantine for 2 weeks, the only logical next step from that is they will take every gun and bullet you have, take them down, and show the government and show your local government that they can't be taken. And I don't agree with the protesters that wanted to reopen the state. I don't think that was their main. I think most of them were there to reopen the state. They're the people that wanted to go back to work, whatever. But then these people showed up, and guess who's going to get all the pictures taken? The guys with the wannabe military grade, and they're getting their message across that if you don't, it's a threat. I don't want to say it's I don't want to say that if Trump isn't reelected in 2020 that a militia is going to gather and fight the government. But
Mason, I regret to inform you that's going to happen. But yeah, go ahead, continue.
I don't want my name out there.
Yeah. Something I was reading was mentioning that during the protests until I guess it was yesterday, whenever they had the actual high-powered rifles outside the governor's door. Was that yesterday or the day before? I forget. Because that was only 1 day, apparently. Up until then.
Are you talking about the protest?
Yeah.
That was like a week ago?
Was it?
Yeah, it was about a week, yeah.
Okay, well, but there was only like 1 day whenever they actually were outside the governor's door. Up until that, like they had all been just protesting outside, like with the barricades and whatnot. And people still brought their rifles and all, they still brought them, but like there was only 1 day when they were actually inside the building.
That's not an excuse. That's not an excuse. I'm sorry. You're not
No,
allowed.
no. I'm not trying to condone it.
Of course. Yeah. Like you're not allowed. Nobody's fucking allowed to do that. I don't know how it is that in a
Try bringing a gun into a federal building.
into a fucking federal building. How in the hell is that okay? And then, and it's like one of those things that's like a blurred line with a lot of conservatives because they go, I don't know if I agree with that, but I'm not going to say anything.
Dude, not only that, what's his name? Big conservative dude, Fox, Sean Hannity even came out and was like, that may not be the right way to do things. Sean Hannity came out and said that.
And I don't, just hearing his name gives me a headache. And he actually said that. I'm actually really proud of him. But I mean, but he didn't say, you know, I don't condone this.
No. He said it wasn't the right way to go about it because if one thing goes wrong,
it's an open firefight and now it's a bloodbath.
And then you're shooting cops.
You're shooting cops.
But you know, a lot of these, the far right, not the right, not your everyday conservative, the ones you and I know. Yeah, the far right, they want a Boston massacre.
They do, bro. They want anarchy, like no
powder keg to go up.
They want. They see themselves as descendants of the founding fathers, and I'm pretty sure at some point, I could be wrong. If the founding fathers didn't, then I'm sure their children, or if not their parents, maybe at some point had a quarantine because of a pandemic of some kind. And I'm sure they're fine with it. But yeah, no, they think that everything that they don't agree with, not even believe in, if it goes against their immediate ability to agree with it or accept it, that is an affront to their constitutional rights, and that is equal to what the founding fathers are fighting for. No. They want to be the founding fathers, and I have thought about a specific psychology of these particular people. Like, you know, they're typically the ones that
they're Neanderthals.
Okay, Mike, that's mean.
That's not nice.
It's not. As it turns out, Neanderthals actually used tools and they buried their own, which means that they were actually rather intelligent. So,
but these are going to be the people that, you know, they didn't get to fight in a heroic war. They didn't get to, you know, kill a bad guy in the line of duty. They're the in-betweeners that never quite lived a fantastic life that maybe their great-grandparents or grandparents did, or maybe that, you know, their brothers and sisters maybe fought and sacrificed in whatever war we're fighting. They're not the ones that were able to do that, but they still want to be heroes. And so they create these false scenarios, and they want to be the freedom fighters that.
It's like those Spartan shirts, bro. It's those Spartan, like, they think they're warriors.
The Punisher.
The Punisher.
Yeah.
With Oakleys.
Oh.
And the Under Armour shirts and shorts. And the red trucks with the testicles on the back.
That's a whole bunch of Jeff Lowe's just.
And instead of the drummers that the American Revolution had and the Civil War had, it's just the Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh yeah, just sound of the drum beats, boys.
Well, with that all being said, I think we made our point, and I'm very happy that we at least got some things across right now, not just being a bunch of liberal cucks. So I just want to say to everybody out there, you know, who actually did follow, you know, the rules, stayed at home, you know, I'm going to let you guys know right now, they knew that you're still going to go out. You're still going to go to the grocery store. You're still going to do whatever it is that you needed to do. But you weren't going to go out as often. And that's really what they were trying to do, is have you avoid contacting, you know, more and more people. You were successful. For the people who argued against it, I'm sorry that 1 million people didn't die. And thanks for nothing, everybody.
Thanks for nothing.
And so, coming from Mike, Mason, and Dustin, have a great night, and hopefully we do this again soon. Okay, hang on. There, fuck. I could not hear anything for the last like 30 seconds of that. My wire just like gave out. So, well, that was good.
That was very
That doesn't
fun.
sound good, Mike.
Well, actually, hold on. Let me stop this recording.